Welcome to the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Pluff. Each week, we will cover various topics that dads struggle with in their fitness journey. I'll give you actionable steps that you can apply right away, not only to take back control of your own health, but so you're able to be a better example for your kids too. All right. Welcome in to this week's episode of the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. I am your host, Anthony Pluff. Today, we're going to be talking about balancing fitness while being a dad. Fitting in your workouts, how you can fit in a 20-minute workout, and more importantly, how to structure it, right? And so that's the hardest part. It's easy to figure out. Maybe find some time, like maybe you're watching Netflix at night, and so that's your 20 minutes right there, where you can create a workout, get it in, stay consistent with it. And so, first off, let's talk about why it's so important to stay active as a dad. So, I mean, you know how busy you are, right? You're juggling work, you're juggling family, personal time, all of that, and then trying to find time to carve out 20 minutes here and there for fitness can be challenging. But if you've been somebody who has exercised regularly in the past, you know the benefits, right? I don't need to sit here and tell you the benefits of exercise. You're going to feel better, you're going to sleep better, you're going to have more energy, and it's more just the fact that how can we fit this in, and right. And so, first off, if you're struggling to find time, get your kids involved, right? Go on a hike, with the kids. I love taking my kids. We have a place called the Cons of Prairie here, close to where I live, and so I go there on my own. I'll go, I'll go pretty far. I'll go sometimes, usually 6 miles when I'm there. The longest I've ever gone is 18 on my own. And so I enjoy going there. When I bring the kids, we go like half a mile, right? My kids are young, and so they like going out there. It's fun. Lately, it's been super hot, so we haven't been out there, but getting them involved, going for a hike, going for a walk, things like that, playing soccer in the backyard, finding a way to get your kids involved is a lot of fun, and it's rewarding for everybody. But it's also important that you find time to work out on your own too, right? You need that time to yourself, right? I know for me personally, I need to carve out some time for myself each week to make sure I'm getting my workouts in, to make sure I feel my best. And so waking up a little earlier, kind of squeezing in a session here. If your kids are young, you're working from home, maybe on the weekend, you're able to get your workout in during nap. You still want to keep it short though, right? Because kids, they're unpredictable, and so you may not be able to get as long as a workout in as you would like, but let's try and get something in, right? And so the most important thing is being able to find something that you can stick to. And so, I'm going to give you a kind of a breakdown here of a 20-minute workout that you could implement right away. You could do it today if you want to. In fact, I encourage you to, try it out, see if you like it. And then, send me a message. Let me know how it went. Let me know, how it could be more beneficial to you. And so, finding ways to exercise, that are sustainable is obviously what's important, right? Like, my workouts look a lot different than my clients' workouts. I have a couple clients that do things very similar. They have very similar, lifestyles and things like that. But for most of my clients, their workouts all look a little different. The time is different. The exercise we do are different, because it's based on their availability, their equipment that they have available to you. And so I'm going to kind of break down a workout here for you that you could do with no equipment at all. And so, but before you do the workout though, you got to make sure you find time to put it on the calendar, right? You got to make sure you have a little bit of time here where you can make sure that it's consistent. So you got to make sure your wife's home. You're able to kind of get a workout in here, and find a time that you're able to do it 2-3 times a week, right? If you can only get one in, that's okay. But the more we can do it, the better we're going to feel, right? It's going to make it very hard to make it a habit if you're only doing it once a week. And so let's jump into it. Here. And so, we're gonna talk about a 20-minute workout here. It's gonna get you a great workout in. It's short. It's not very long. It's high intensity though, right? You've probably heard of HIIT training before. A lot of these shorter workouts, we want to increase the intensity, right? We don't want to spend 20 minutes resting 2 to 3 minutes each set. Typically, that's what we would do for our strength training session, right? When strength is the goal, we're trying to get stronger. We want to rest longer because we want to make sure we're recovered for each set. But when you only have 20 minutes and you're resting 3 minutes in between each set, you're not going to get a lot of work in here. And so these are going to be short. They're going to be high intensity, right? But you can get great results here. And so you're going to get a brief warm up here. We're going to go through a brief warm up, some light cardio, dynamic stretching, mobility exercises. I'm not going to go through all of that here. I can definitely send you some resources on that, but you want to spend probably those first 3, 4, 5 minutes doing some sort of, dynamic mobility, right? Getting loose, right? You don't want to just jump straight into it, especially if you're doing something high intensity, because I don't want you to get injured, right? And so after we get our warm up in, after we're feeling pretty good, we're feeling loose, maybe starting to sweat a little bit, we're going to break down our session into 3, 6 to 7 minute segment here, so depending on how much time you have, right? If you need to, you can shorten those to 4 to 5 minutes. But we're going to get a little bit of cardio in, we're going to get some strength in, and then we're also going to get a little bit of core in, right? And so cardio, if we do this first, this is going to be our high intensity section, right? This is going to be the most taxing, right? You're going to go through periods of kind of all out effort and then a little bit of active recovery. And so this could be, sprinting. This could be, jumping jacks, high knees. If you're down for it, if you like them, you could do burpees, right? So this is gonna kind of, we're gonna kick this off right away. This is gonna be a pretty high intensity, and so we're gonna get this done first, right? Because it's gonna be the most taxing, right? So you're gonna maybe go, 15, 20, 30 seconds here, and then you're gonna take a little bit of a break, and you're gonna do that for a few rounds there, right? As many rounds as you can. Just set your timer for 5 minutes. Work if you're doing high knees, you can do high knees for 30 seconds, rest for 20. 30 seconds, rest for 20. You can alternate, or you could change up the rest periods. You could change up the work periods there depending on your schedule. And so the next part here, after we get that done, after we rest a minute or so, we're going to jump into our strength portion. And so we think push-ups, squats, lunges, some sort of row. If you have some like TRX straps, you could do some body weight rows. If you have a pull-up bar, you could do pull-ups and things like that. On these, you're going to aim, 10 to 12 reps. If you can't do 12 reps of pull-ups or something, you could drop that. You could do less. The important thing here is we're focusing on not only just getting stronger, but we want to make sure we're going through a full range of motion and we're focusing on the quality of the movement, right? We're not just rushing through it here. We did our high intensity section of the workout before. This is where we're focusing a little bit on strength. Okay. So, same thing here, typically, like I said, we're going to want to rest a little bit longer for our strength training exercises here. But when we're short on time, we'll probably have to decrease that a little bit. Doesn't mean you're not going to get the benefits out of it. You're just probably not going to get as much as you would if you were able to rest 2 to 3 minutes in between sets there. And so, we're working on push-ups, squats, lunges, rows, all body weight movements. None of them you need equipment for outside of maybe a pull-up bar if you have one, but you can always skip that. There's lots of different things you can do rows on as well. And then our last section here is going to be core, right? So we're gonna focus on things like planks, Russian twist, leg raises. You could do each exercise for 45 seconds, rest 15 seconds, go to the next one, and you can kind of cycle through those in kind of a circuit fashion there. So we're starting off with some high intensity work, moving to our strength, getting a little bit of core in, and then afterwards, get some water. You can always get water in between sets as well. And then the last part of your workout, the last 5 minutes, so our workout session there, 15, 20 minutes there. And then we're going to spend about 5 minutes cooling down, getting some stretching in, doing some mobility. We just worked our body really hard. So we want to cool it down a little bit. We don't want to go straight from working out really hard to, sitting in a chair the rest of the day. We're going to get really tight. We're going to be pretty sore. So we want to try to avoid that, And so doing something like this, this is a very simple, very basic setup here. We want to make sure, one, we're listening to our body on the intensity here. We're going to be doing a lot of movement in a very short amount of time here, and that can cause a lot of stress on your body. And so if you're already sore, just bring down the intensity a little bit, right? Especially for that first session there, that first segment of the workout. If your body is hurting, if something's not feeling right, slow it down, regress the movement, or just get rid of it altogether. The important thing is being able to do things, every day, do it for your everyday life there, not just, just for your workout, just killing yourself in your workout and then being miserable the rest of the time. So that's a very simple 20-minute workout there. Another option you could do that I like to use with a lot of my clients is supersets. And so typically the first exercise or two is going to be our strength training portion, where we put strength first, working on focusing on some of the compound movements here. So this compound movement is going to it's going to work multiple body parts at once. So think of things like the squat, the deadlift, the bench press. They're working multiple things. The bicep curl isn't going to be a compound move. It's primarily working just the biceps. And so your second option, we had that first kind of 20-minute session there. The second one would be focus on your strength training first. So if you're working on shoulders and back one day, get those big movements out of the way first. Work on your shoulder press, work on pull-ups, things like that. And then you could jump in to like supersets or something. So a superset's going to be where you're going from one exercise to the next right away and then take a rest. A lot of my clients like supersets. The intensity is a little higher than doing like a straight strength training pyramid. And so you're getting your strength training in at the beginning. You're focusing on those key movements. And then we're still getting strength through the rest of the workout, but the intensity is a little higher. A lot of my clients seem to prefer these ones. Not everybody does, though. But supersets are a great way to get a lot of work in a shorter amount of time. And so you could do things where if you're doing an upper body day, you could kind of pair some movements there. You could also do an upper lower pair there. And so you're a little bit more rested for your next set there. And so hopefully this was helpful. Just kind of give you some ideas here. How you can fit a great workout in. And you can always increase the sets, right? If you only have time for 2 sets of each superset or 2 sets of each strength training movement, that's okay. When you have a little bit more time, just to add a set, right? And then if you have a little bit more time, you could add some cardio in. You could do, some jumping jacks. You could go for a run. You could go for a walk. That's how I like to fit my cardio in. There are some days where, I get so separate completely cardio days, but a lot of times I will just add them to the end of my workout because I'm already working out, right? And sometimes it's just easier than having to add an additional day, right? And so hopefully this gave you some ideas on how to fit in, strength training and still get results, right? A lot of times we think, I only have, 10, 15 minutes. I can't get a lot in. You just have to increase the intensity a little bit. Are you going to get more benefits if you were able to dedicate an hour to the gym 3 to 4 times a week? Absolutely. But that goes with everything, right? If you are learning a new language and you spend 20 minutes twice a week, would you be able to learn the language? Absolutely. It would just take quite a bit of time. But if you spent an hour 4 days a week learning that language, you'd pick it up much quicker. And so just kind of think of exercise the same way, right? Exercise is a skill. Working out, this is a skill. This is something you have to fit in too, right? It's like starting a side hustle, trying to get better at an aspect in your business when you have other things going on. You're going to get better the more time you invest in it. And so you can absolutely get great results in 20 minutes a day. And hopefully during today's episode, I gave you a couple different options there on how to kind of set up those workouts. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to email me. Please feel free to message me on Facebook or on Instagram. And I'd love to have a conversation with you, helping you out. That concludes this episode of the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. Thank you for those of you who took time out of your busy schedules to listen. If you have any questions or comments or an idea for a topic for a future episode, please feel free to reach out, and I'd love to hear from you.